is also currently on City Council as a Councillor-at-Large, Nina Liang.
Good evening, everyone. I want to start by thanking Mark and everyone at the Merrymount Association, as well as all of you for taking the time to come out tonight and making this possible. I also want to take a moment and thank my fellow colleagues and my fellow candidates for joining me as well. I'm Nina Liang, and I'm your at-large city councillor. I'm proud to serve as an at-large city councillor from my hometown. Quincy is an incredible place. This is one of the things that I knew when I first ran for office, but I've learned a lot more about that in these last 2 years. I'm constantly inspired by the hard work that goes into our city every single day. From every neighborhood, to every civic association, to every nonprofit organization, all of our neighbors and friends are committed to making our city thrive. We're all a part of this amazing community, and I'm proud to represent the people of Quincy. 2 years ago, I ran on a pretty simple platform to bring the city government to the residents, to make it more accessible and to make it more transparent. While we've made some progress on that front, I believe we can still do more. We can still do better. Today, I am running for re-election to the Quincy City Council because I know that I have more to contribute. I am running because I want to build upon the progress that we've made together. I am running because I want to continue to be here for all of you and together fight for the future of our city. I'm running today because I want all of you and all of us to expect more. We should expect more from our city government. We should expect more from our elected officials. We should expect more from our neighbors and from ourselves. This is a standard that I hold myself to, and tonight I want all of you to hold me to that same standard. In Quincy, we come together. We work with people, and that's how we find solutions to our issues. And we may not always agree on that path, but different paths are not necessarily wrong. Different paths to the same goal provide us with a wealth of perspective that will allow us to move our city forward. I can tell you that the people that I've met and worked with these past 2 years all share in that same goal, to provide the same opportunities for all of us in this city, and to find a way to give back to the city and the community that we all call home. 2 years ago, I ran for office for the same purpose, and I can tell you that these last 2 years have been an amazing opportunity. I've had the honor and the pleasure to serve all of the residents in the city, to give back to the city that I call home, and to make a difference. I take this as an incredible honor, but I also take it as an incredible responsibility. I know that we still have more work to do, and I know that I can continue to work hard to serve all of you. I've learned a lot about our city. I've learned about the specific issues and challenges that we faced, and that there is no one right answer to all of these problems. Some issues that are important to some folks may not be the top priority for others in this city. And while some issues this may be a pebble or a rock, to others that same issue could be a mountain. And so we have to make sure to address all of those issues for every single resident in the city. I've learned a lot as well about all the different neighborhoods that we have here. And again, I've learned a lot about myself. I know that I have more to contribute. I know that I want all of you to expect more of me, and that I want to continue to do more for you. I would love to have the opportunity to continue to be all of your voices for our city, and I humbly ask for your support and for one of your 3 votes on September 12th. Thank you.
Thank you, Nina. So some questions that were submitted. What would you say is your most proud achievement from your 2 years on the City Council so far?
My most proud achievement? The smallest one? Well, not smallest one because I just said, right, some issues are really important to some folks. There was a small patch of sidewalk that was all crumbled and broken up, and I was able to call over to the DPW, and they sent somebody out and they fixed it. That's actually something really neat that I've learned as well, is that it's not just about the City Council, it's not just about the administration, it's a collaborative effort across the city, and to be able to fix a problem like that was really neat. The other accomplishment that I'm really proud of is with respect to the development in the downtown. Before I came onto the council, the City Council's role with projects that were going up in the city were not involved. We had a vote that came in front of the city council, and we moved forward the issue so that now when you develop on public land, it goes to the city council first. We're allowed to have public hearings. We're allowed to invite folks to come and give their opinion. We're allowed to have the time to solicit feedback, get emails, get phone calls, get texts, get pings, tweets, whatever it may be, so that before we make that decision, if that development should go up, we have the ability to contribute to that. When it comes to private development, we still have 30 days for our contribution to that before a decision gets made elsewhere, but we still have the opportunity to be a part of that decision.
Numerous people asked about environmental issues being on the coast here. Do you think Quincy is doing enough to deal with environmental concerns, coastal erosion, rising sea levels? In general, is Quincy preparing for climate change at a local level?
So, I live right up the street from the other end of the beach here, and luckily for me, I'm right out of the flood zone, but it's probably about a 2-minute walk from my house down to the beach. And every day, I don't know if I'm going to be in the flood zone or out of the flood zone, and so that is one particular issue that I'm personally concerned with. With respect to the work that we're doing in the city to address the issue, there are organizations, one in particular, Quincy Climate Action Network, who are a group of people that are championing this issue and trying to find ways to help support us and thinking of new creative ways to move forward. So for example, they came and they talked to the council and talked to us about green cars, electric cars, and how we can actually change our entire city fleet from the gasoline use over to electric cars. And so with innovative ideas like that, by working together, by soliciting feedback from residents who are maybe experts on the matter, who have done the work themselves as well, I believe will help us to continue to move forward with that.
Okay, what's your position on the Four River compressor station?
I'm against it as well. I know that my colleague spoke about it earlier. With that, that is also a collaborative effort. I talk a lot about that, but that's truly what that is. In knocking around the different neighborhoods and having meetings and keeping up with social media and keeping in touch with people, there's a slew of community members from across different cities, not just here, but also in Weymouth and in Braintree. I've met some folks that are also championing against that issue. And so I believe so long as we stick together and we fight against that and we continue to work with our state and federal delegation that, hopefully we'll see some positive results from that.
The city, especially the people who live in the Wollaston area with the Wollaston T station closing, that's going to be a major concern for people in that area. What do you think the city can do to help alleviate the impact that that's going to have on those people?
Yeah, that's going to be terrifying. Living up in North Quincy and driving by the North Quincy T station and using the North Quincy T station, I don't believe it's an issue specific to Wollaston. I believe it's an issue specific really to everyone that lives in this area and either takes this main road or Hancock Street or Newport. Everyone's going to be affected by it in one way or the other. And luckily, we've been able to push for additional community meetings with working with Senator Keenan's office. The MBTA is a state organization, and through working with the community to get feedback, we've been able to push that over to Senator Keenan's office, and he's been able to help champion us that as well. When those meetings happen, however, we as a city council need to make sure to be there to represent all of you and all of your concerns. Unfortunately, one of those community meetings we had more recently, a lot of folks couldn't make it out to, and so leading up to it, we need to be there to speak up for you and tell them what those issues are. Why haven't you run any dry runs yet with those buses? What are some alternative routes? How many staff are you going to have on site to direct the traffic or to tell people this is the bus you're supposed to go to or this is where you land? Who's paying for that? Who's going to be taking care of policing the area? Is that going to be state funded or is that coming out of our pockets? And these are the kinds of questions that we need to stay on top of as your counselor. And again, if you don't have the time to come to a meeting or if you're not sure who to contact or what's going on, please feel free to reach out to me. I have my contact information over here as well. And I do want to be open and transparent about the fact that I will be working very closely with Senator Keenan's office. He's been wonderful as well for pushing forward issues that I've brought to him from the community.
An issue that attracted some attention earlier in the year was the idea to bring up to the city council of whether Quincy should consider calling itself acting in the manner of what's known in, there's not really a good definition of it, but of a sanctuary city. That did not go forward with the city council. Would that be something that you would be interested in addressing if you were elected again to the city council?
So with the sanctuary city resolution that I brought the resolution out because for the past year and a half, I've been hearing from residents on both sides of the issue. People that are passionate and saying this is not something that we should be doing, and then people passionate on the other side to say this is something we should move forward with. After the election earlier this year, as you guys all know, or I'm sure most of you are aware, a lot of cities and towns in Massachusetts were moving forward with that decision. And with more people coming up to us as a city council and bringing that issue up, I felt it was my responsibility to address that issue and talk about policy. Mark, you're right. There is no one specific term for it because every city and town that has called themselves a sanctuary city has enacted different types of policies. So at the core of it, I wanted to know, what are our policies? What is it that we do? What are we doing to protect our police? Do they understand what their responsibilities are going out there? What do our residents think? What is it that they want for policy? And ultimately, that's all I was trying to do, was to have it in the most transparent format possible, which is at our city council meeting. They're televised, there's newspapers there, the Patriot Ledger now live tweets our meetings. People can go back and listen to those correspondences through audio, they can read them. And if there's any one place to find out true and real information on such a divisive issue, it's at the city council. It's my role to always address an issue that is a concern of our residents, and that's something that I will always commit to doing.
Okay, and final question. Final question would be, what is your plan to increase commercial development in Quincy to lessen the load on the residential property taxes?
That's a great question, Mark, and that's one of the things that I am actually moving forward with and trying to work with all of my colleagues. I know some of them mentioned them earlier, that Councillor Pamucci had brought forward the residential tax exemption. So those things go hand in hand. When it comes to the city of Quincy, if anything is a dwelling unit, then it's considered residential. So the lower residential tax rate that we're all paying is the same as if I owned, an apartment building or a townhouse, and I'm profiting off of that. Well, it's still a dwelling. So I'm only paying residential tax on my commercial property. That being said, we do need to offset that by increasing our commercial property, and it's not just by saying, hey, we're going to build a huge building with apartments and have 2,000 square feet on the bottom for retail. That's not enough commercial tax to offset what I'm paying for my taxes. And so we need to... This wasn't a goal. We don't have that much land in the city as well. If you guys take a drive around the city, or if you just walk around the city, come door knock with one of us. It's great exercise, but it's also a great way to see all the little nooks and crannies in our neighborhood. We actually don't have that much land left to develop commercial property. You want to keep open space, you want to keep your parks, you want to keep your neighborhoods. And so if you look at those larger areas like the downtown and Crown Colony, you really want to focus on those areas that are already going to be commercially developed, and we don't have much of it left. And so we need to go ahead and talk to developers elsewhere. We need to tell them, when you come here, it's not going to be apartments with 2,000 square feet of commercial real estate. It's going to be all commercial, all businesses. And at the end of the day, it's not just helping the taxpayers, it's creating jobs, it's creating more stimulation for our economy. So all around it's good. I am not going to sit here and say I'm not for development. I certainly am, but commercial development, no more residential development.
All right. Thank you, Nina.
Thank you.